I'm very pleased to introduce our keynote speaker for today. He's Professor Toby Walsh. He's the Chief Scientist at University of New South Wales AI, the AI Institute of the university. He's a laureate fellow and a professor of artificial intelligence in the UNSW School of Computer Science and Engineering. And he's particularly noted for his work in AI, especially in the areas of social choice, constraint programming, and propositional satisfiability. Professor Walsh received his MA degree in theoretical physics and maths from the University of Cambridge and an MSc and PhD in AI from the University of Edinburgh. He's been the editor-in-chief of the Journal of AI Research and of AI Communications. He has chaired several conferences in the area of artificial intelligence, including the International Joint Conference on AI. And Dr. Walsh has also served on the Executive Council of the Association for Advancement of Artificial Intelligence. He's the author of 3 books on artificial intelligence for a general audience. It's Alive, Artificial Intelligence from the Logic Piano to Killer Robots, which looks at the history and present of AI. 2062, The World AI Made, which looks at the potential impact AI will have on our society. And Machines Behaving Badly, The Morality of AI, which looks at the ethical challenges of AI. Very recently, Professor Walsh had the privilege of an exclusive meeting with our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, where they discussed various applications of AI, including its responsible utilization for the progress of mankind. I request you all to put your hands together to welcome on stage Professor Toby Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be back in India. I was last here beginning of the year, actually, for the Jaipur Literary Festival. And my goal today is to try and help you see the wood from the trees. Everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, and I think it's very easy to get lost by the flashy new and not see the bigger picture, not see that there's actually an iceberg coming along and seizing that opportunity. So the goal of my talk is to try and help you see that bigger picture. Of course, you're not the only people who want to see the big picture. I did have the pleasure, as was mentioned in the introduction, to meet your Prime Minister. I spent half an hour with him, he asking me those very questions. How should he see the bigger picture? What was the opportunity? What are the challenges that AI are bringing to us? And there are many great opportunities. I think if you look at we're trying to predict the future, so there's huge uncertainty. But if you look at the numbers, there's a number that keeps on coming up. It's come up in so many different studies. A survey that was done by PwC. I saw some numbers for the Australian economy recently. But they always come out around 15–20%. That it's going to grow the world's economy and any particular country's economy by somewhere like 15–20%. It's hard to think of any other single technology that will change the world by growing another, if we talk about the world's GDP, that's about, I think, something like $15 to $17 trillion. Put that in context because, well, you guys probably think in millions. Maybe a few of you think in billions of dollars, US dollars. But I don't think many of us are used to thinking of trillions of dollars. But the sort of wealth that is going to be generated, if those numbers are right, is equivalent to the current GDP of China and India together. That's $15 trillion there already. So we're talking about a really significant impact. And of course, why is everyone talking about it now? Well, ChatGPT certainly woke people's eyes up to the opportunity. It is the fastest, or was at least when it was released, it was the fastest growing app ever. In the hands of 1 million people at the end of the first week, 100 million at the end of the second month, and now, roughly 6 months later, it's available to over 1 billion people. It's part of Snapchat, it's part of Skype, it's incorporated in the Bing search. In Snapchat, there's a ChatGPT assistant called My AI. We now need your own AI. We've got it. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's such opportunity and such challenge. Because the technology is being so democratized, it's in the hands of so many people, and it's going to be the imaginations of those billions of people. What are they going to do with the technology? We've never seen technologies that have been out there so quickly. It's hard to make comparisons. AI is often compared to other technologies that have transformed our lives, the internet, the smartphone, electricity. But with those technologies, we had to wire the world, we had to connect the world. The internet took a while to happen because we had to connect people. People had to log in. Smartphones took a while because people had to go out and buy smartphones and get connected. But with artificial intelligence, we've already put the plumbing in. People are already online. They just have to download the app, and the world changes. I think that's why, if anything, this technology is going to be that much more disruptive. And it certainly is going to be disruptive. We've seen some examples of this already. We're starting to see the beginnings of that. You would have seen this picture, the Pope in a white puffer jacket. When I saw this picture, of course, I thought this was Photoshop. Someone who knew how to Photoshop. It wasn't. It was artificial intelligence. This is a deep fake. Someone took Midjourney, they typed in the prompt, I want a picture of the Pope in a white puffer jacket. And of course, why this is so disruptive, I go back to my observation at the start. It's a technology that's in the hands of billions of people. You just have to have the idea. You don't need any expertise to be able to generate this anymore. You don't have to be that expert in Photoshop. You just have to, anyone can have the idea. And so we're going to be ever more disrupted by funny memes like this. Of course, the Pope missed the opportunity here. Should have gone out and bought himself a white puffer jacket. So, how to see the bigger picture here? Now, history does not repeat. This is a quote, I believe it's often attributed to Mark Twain. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And I think this moment rhymes with this. This is 1979. The old people in the room, like myself, will recognize what this is. This is VisiCalc. This was the first spreadsheet for a personal computer. This was the first killer app for the personal computer. People went out and bought personal computers so they could run VisiCalc. I remember before that, people would say to me, I was a young boy at the time, but people would say, why do I need a personal computer? And then they saw VisiCalc and said, oh, right. Oh, I can do my budget. That's going to be useful. It was a vision of a future where personal computers were doing useful stuff for you. And that's the rhyme with today, with artificial intelligence. That's why ChatGPT caught people's imaginations. It was a vision of a future, a very big future, in which they could see AI doing useful stuff for them. And it caught their imagination. But it's worth, and here's the two guys, Daniel Bricklin and Robert Frankston, the two co-inventors of VisiCalc. It's worth looking closely at this picture because there's a date on there, 1979, when VisiCalc first was sold, to 1985, when VisiCorp, the company behind VisiCalc, went bankrupt. And in 20 years' time, again, this is the rhyme, in 20 years' time, I'm not sure we're going to remember OpenAI or ChatGPT. You're going to say ChatGPT and people are going to look at you. They're going to say, what was that? I remember something about it 20 years ago. The future isn't just about ChatGPT. The future isn't just about chatbots. Just like the future of the personal computer wasn't about VisiCalc and it wasn't about spreadsheets. If you think of personal computers today, and they're an indispensable part of our lives, they're part of our offices, they're part of our homes, they're part of our factories, possible to imagine a world without personal computers, but most of the things they're doing aren't spreadsheets. They're doing 101 other things than spreadsheets. And the same will be true, again, this is history rhyming, not repeating, the same will be true of artificial intelligence. It won't be just ChatGPT or chatbots. There's 1,001 things that we're going to be doing with artificial intelligence in 20 years' time that are nothing to do with ChatGPT. And that's the hard part about trying to work out what that future is about. It's like asking Daniel or Robert back in 1979, what else are you going to do with that personal computer? They'd have had no idea of all the rich things that we do now on personal computers, including the internet, including all the other things that we invented since then. It's the same as about trying to imagine the future of artificial intelligence. It's imagining what the imaginations of those billions of people who now have access to technology are going to do with it. And it's going to be quite remarkable. Now, of course, there is one place on the planet where they imagine the future. They do quite a good job of it. That's Hollywood. And there are a bunch of AI movies in Hollywood, most of which I dislike, because most of them are about the robots trying to destroy humanity, humanity just hopefully surviving at the end. They tend to kill the AI researchers. Again, a reason I don't like these movies. But there's one I really like, one that many of my colleagues like. It's the movie Her. Bit of a nice love story, as the subtitle tells you. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go and see it. It is a good movie. And this gets a couple of things right about our AI future. One is, the premise of the movie is that Joaquin Phoenix here is falling in love with his new AI operating system, beautifully voiced by the voice of Scarlett Johansson. That is a correct picture of the future where AI is a platform technology that sits above all of the computing that we do. If you think about it, all of our devices are going to be connected to the internet, connected up. Our telephones, our fridges, our toasters, our front door bells, our light bulbs, everything is going to be connected. Most of those don't have screens, most of those don't have keyboards. So how are we going to communicate with them? We're going to talk to them, and they're going to talk back to us. And that's going to require some artificial intelligence to do that. So AI is going to be that operating system that then also means that we just have to say things, and they do intelligent things following our instructions. They're going to lift the level of the dialogue that we have with the computers. And then the other thing that the movie gets right, it's a love story, don't forget, is that we're going to have quite an intimate relationship with these machines. We're going to get quite attached to them. I don't have time to go into that here. But again, I want you to think of the bigger picture here. And as I said, the future of artificial intelligence isn't just about chatbots. They're going to be a useful component. We're going to have assistants that we talk to that do all the things that chatbots are going to be able to do. But this picture here is to show you that there's a much bigger puzzle here. Intelligence is a multifaceted thing. Artificial intelligence is starting to be a very multifaceted thing. We've got the generative AI that we're seeing today, but there's lots of other parts of AI, lots of other pieces to this jigsaw. You've got the predictive AI, machine learning, where we're using AI to make predictions. We've got the decisive part of AI, where we're using AI to make decisions. We've got natural language, understanding natural language, so NLP is a vital component. We've got recognizing people's speech and vision, speech recognition and computer vision are vital components. And there's an important part of this picture as well, is the missing pieces. There are various pieces, and I'll come to very quickly what those are in a second, various pieces missing to make machines as intelligent as us, or even more intelligent than us. And we don't know what those pieces are yet, which is why we don't know how long it's going to take. But it's important to remember that we're still missing some fundamental pieces that are yet to be discovered. But focusing on the shorter term, focusing on the prospects of things like generative AI, it is very exciting, and it's very exciting for one very good reason. And there was a memo that told you about this a couple of months ago that was leaked out of Google, which pointed out that there's no technical moat to this area. And there isn't. I know exactly what goes into ChatGPT. I could go off and build it. Give me enough millions of dollars, I could go off, and actually not even millions of dollars these days. If you gave me some money and a team of people, I could go and build it for you. There are no technical secrets. For a while, compute was a barrier. We don't know exactly how much money they spent on compute for ChatGPT. At least it was in the tens of millions, maybe even in the hundreds. But there's been a 100-fold reduction in the amount of compute to build these models. We're doing things like lowering the precision of the arithmetic, exploiting the sparsity of the matrices, to the point now where some colleagues of mine at Stanford built a ChatGPT clone for $600 of Amazon Web Service credits. Compute is not a barrier, algorithms are not a barrier, which is why we're seeing this explosion, this Cambrian explosion of models. Everyone is building models. There's a proliferation of interesting things that people are doing because there are no technical barriers. That makes it a really exciting, innovative space to be in. Of course, it makes it pretty dangerous if you're a company like Google, who's been sitting on their hands, hasn't even been improving search for a long time. But there is actually one moat. There is one small barrier to stopping everyone doing this, and that's data. And companies, this is one of the really important take-homes, I think, from this talk, is you come away with a newfound respect, appreciation for the value of the data in your business. Data is one of the barriers. Reddit woke up to the idea that everyone is training on their data. If you want to train a chatbot to answer question and answers, what's a good source of questions and answers where people have even rated the questions for you and the answers for you? That's Reddit. So they realized they should stop giving that data away and start charging people serious money for it. Same thing with Stack Overflow. If you want to ask questions about programming, examples of programs, where's the website to find that? Where's the data for that? That's Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow realized they shouldn't give that away. Mr. Musk woke up to the idea that Twitter, or X as it's now supposed to be called, was a great source for data on social memes and those sorts of themes. He started charging very serious money for it. If you look at the legal cases going through at the moment, they all depend upon data. ChatGPT was briefly banned from Italy because of concerns about data and privacy. Data is the key. Data is going to be where the value is extracted. And I think one of the most exciting things, one of the most interesting things I saw in the last couple of weeks was this. Bloomberg have come up with their own chatbot, Bloomberg GPT. There were 2 companies on the planet that could have done this, Bloomberg and Reuters. Make a chatbot that understands finance, that speaks credit derivatives, bonds, the stuff that finance people speak. Bloomberg had the data for it. Reuters have the data for it. They are the people who are going to build a model that really speaks finance. The other area where data is going to be the key is that we're running out of interesting data. GPT-4 was trained on about a third of the internet, as far as we can tell. There isn't that much high-quality textual data left. And so people are now pivoting. The models are starting to read in other data types, audio and video being in particular. So YouTube is going to be a data, is a gold mine for additional data. I want to finish, though, by pointing out, whilst there's great opportunity, there's still significant challenges. The same challenges that occurred with all the previous examples of AI that we had, not just generative AI. Bias is an example. I've got a couple of examples now where it's text-image tools. The same occurs with these text tools like ChatGPT. I'm using text-to-image tools because these ones are very graphic and in your face. You can see the pictures immediately, but you'll find the same concerns with the text models as well as with the image models. You ask Stable Diffusion for a picture of a CIO on the phone, you only get pictures of white male CEOs. The sad thing about this is we knew this was going to be a problem 10 years ago. We've seen this so many times in the past, and yet Stability AI, the company behind Stable Diffusion, did nothing about this, did nothing to fix this. We know how to fix at least this problem. We don't know how to deal with bias completely, but at least we know how to fix this problem, then they didn't bother to do that. They also can be quite stupid. It's easy to be fooled by the fluency of these models that they actually have greater capability than they do. And they're actually can be remarkably stupid. This is my favorite example. Don't try and, I don't want you to read it all. It's a simple logic puzzle. I've got a 5-liter jug and a 2-liter jug. How do I measure out 3 liters? Now, you all know the answer. You fill the 5-liter jug, you pour it into the 2-liter jug, you're left with 3 liters. ChatGPT gives you an 11-step plan, and on the 11th step it says, now the 2-liter jug will contain exactly 3 liters. It's got no idea what it's talking about. Because it's not really understanding. As I said, it's very fluent. What I take from the success of these models is how much we've overestimated human intelligence. So much of human communication requires limited intelligence that we can actually, so much of human communication is quite formulaic. And we can teach those formulas to computers. And we have taught those formulas to computers. Now they're coming back to us with that very formulaic text, and we're deceived into thinking that's quite intelligent, and it's not. There's another example. I've asked it here for a cat painted by Picasso. You get some very Picasso-esque cats. Internet was invented for cats, right? Pictures of cats. But if I ask for Picasso, as I do on the right, Picasso painted by a cat, none of those pictures look like Picasso. And if my cat could paint, I'm sure he wouldn't paint in a Picasso-like style. And just to reinforce that is another good example. Painting a cat in the style of Rembrandt, and then I've asked for the opposite, painting of a cat in the style of anyone but Rembrandt. I give you any painter of the world but Rembrandt. And in fact, the best Rembrandt, I think, is the bottom right one, the one with the frilly collar. It's not understanding the relations between those words. It's just a bag of words to the machine. So we shouldn't be fooled that they really are. We've still got a huge, great distance to build machines that really understand the world, really reason with the world like we do, but they can already do really useful stuff. And also, they're going to be somewhat deceptive, because what they produce is very realistic. And 2 banks have already been robbed by people cloning people's voices. It only takes now a few seconds of audio to be able to clone your voice. So it's going to take us to a very interesting and somewhat problematic world. So I'm going to end there and just say, as was mentioned in the introduction, I've written a couple of books. Now, I'm actually, the most recent book is the one in the middle, Machines Behaving Badly, which is looking at some of the ethical issues that I touched upon today. 2062 is the book on the right. That's the book that looks into the future, the year 2062, where machines might be as smart as us. And I've got a new book coming out actually next month, very topically looking at generative AI, looking at increasingly there are going to be AI fakes and fake AI that will deceive us. And what sort of world is that going to be? I've only hinted at what sort of world that might be. Thank you very much.